parliamentarians as part of the overall compensation package.
Listen
While
this.
we did not know the exact nature of the increase, it was anticipated that there would be a significant increase based on the realignment.
People, this is the PNP press conference on this salary stuff here, so listen people. PNP press conference about this salary raise. Let's hear them I say.
In particular, the as part of the overall compensation package. While we did not know the exact nature of the increase, it was anticipated that there would be a significant increase based on the realignment of within the band. We didn't know that because no details were shared with us prior to going to Parliament on Tuesday. And also within the permanent secretary's band, where a minister earns $1 per week above a permanent secretary, within the band, it starts from a low of 17 million at the lowest end of the band to the highest end of the band being 23 million. So we would not have known where a minister would have been placed. And as such, a member of parliament is tied to the minister as a percentage. In my response to the minister, I said we took issue with what was presented. That was a response in real time based on what was being presented at the time. We had no prior details of what we were going to receive.
Come on, man. What kind of thing this is going?
Because no details were on the nature of the increases. We recognize that the increases were
This signal is bad, people.
highest band in that scale where a permanent secretary is. A permanent secretary, well, permanent secretaries would range on that band. Some may be at the second level, some may be at the third, some may be at the fourth. So there's a wide disparity within that band. And that band represents a $6 million difference between the lowest point and the highest point. So ministers were placed at $1 per week above the highest point. And as such, the other salaries, which are a percentage of ministers, would reflect that, which is why we said we found the increase that was granted higher than what we would have anticipated. I also said in Parliament that a number of the issues related to public sector workers were outstanding and needed to be resolved. And I've been very consistent on this. There are anomalies related to salaries for teachers, where there seem to be errors in the calculation made to teachers. There are also issues around what teachers who have been in the service for 20 odd years and the lack of equity with teachers who would be in the service for a year or two. There are also issues related to the removal of increments without consultation with the JCSA, the absorption of duty allowances, and issues related to traveling allowances. So there are two specific things that we are calling for. One is that there be a delay in the implementation of the increase to parliamentarians until these outstanding issues related to other public servants are resolved. The second thing we are calling for is a reconsideration of the alignment of a minister to be $1 above the highest scale in the permanent secretary's band. We are saying that that alignment should be more in the middle of the band. So right now it reflects $1 above the 23 million. It should be lower, somewhere in the middle, in the range of probably the mid-range of probably about 19 to 20. That would obviously necessitate a downward adjustment in all the other salaries because, for example, a member of parliament earns a percentage of what a cabinet minister earns. So our position overall, our position now is that those two issues, resolve all the outstanding issues before you implement the increase to the parliamentarians, which is consistent with what the minister had said at the beginning, that the political class would await all the other groups being resolved first. And while those groups signed, they still have substantive outstanding issues that are to be resolved. And secondly, to readjust the minister from being at the highest point on the permanent secretary scale to be at the midpoint. And I want to turn over to the opposition leader for him to provide his remarks.
We are Mark Golden of a sermon. And break him silence, people. What him have to say?
Thank you, Julian. Party Chairman, Party General Secretary, members of the media, good day to you all. The principle of equity was not adhered to in the new public sector pay arrangements, and many public sector workers were left out in the cold. In this context, the massive award to the political class further offends that principle of equity. It is a principle that the People's National Party believes in and had consistently advocated for from the outset of the restructuring process. It has now also come to light that this level of increase will put the salaries of Jamaican elected officials way higher than our peers in the region. That is a situation which it is difficult to justify, given that we have one of the lowest rates of GDP per capita among our regional peers, and Jamaica has not managed to rise out of its chronic low economic growth pattern. This salary mechanism will need to be revisited under the next PNP government. The hollow argument about attracting people to go into politics does not resonate with me. Nowhere in the world is monetary compensation the inducement to enter politics and to give honest service to one's nation. What our country needs at this time is to attract, to motivate, and to retain persons within our teaching profession, our nursing profession, our law enforcement professions, and so on. As Julian Robinson MP has stated, the opposition is of the view that the increases in the salaries of elected officials should be suspended until the outstanding grievances affecting public sector workers are satisfactorily addressed. I did not come into politics to enrich myself, but to serve the people of Jamaica. As leader of the opposition, I must lead by example at a time like this. I will therefore redirect the bulk of the 240+% increase in my pay and retain 20% of that increase and contribute the rest to persons in need and other worthy causes.
That's all right.
I intend to do this until the outstanding grouses affecting the public sector workers arising out of the restructuring have been satisfactorily addressed. I am mindful that the leader of the opposition is the only parliamentarian on our side whose package is in the senior executive leadership category. And our other parliamentarians continue to have discussions among themselves as to how best to deal with their situation. I just want to say two things in addition. Firstly, I see that the private sector and the JMEA have come out supporting the early passage of the impeachment bill. I tabled that bill, I think 2 years ago, because I saw the importance of it arising out of the George Wright fiasco, where a parliamentarian beat up a woman with a stool in a public place, and that person still sits in Parliament, and in fact has been placed to sit on the opposition side, much to our disgust. Secondly, I am calling for, again, an increase in the income tax threshold. The 1.5 million was instituted in 2016. That is 7 years ago. Inflation over that period has been over 40%. It is time to adjust that upwards and give our workers a break. Times are hard, people are feeling it. We must do something more for the working class. I would also consider the development of a recall mechanism to ensure accountability for the performance of members of parliament. It is a system which exists in other jurisdictions, and I think it's appropriate that Jamaica look at it seriously at this time. It was one of the measures called for decades ago in the Carlstone report. We need to make sure that politicians maintain the trust and confidence of the people they represent. I hope that what I have said today will assist in that regard. God bless Jamaica, land we love.
Thank you very much,
My question in there.
Leader. And going to open the floor
Oh,
for questions.
why you good
There
question?
is a question that is out there about which one of the government we should listen to. Don't know if you've heard that question. Which one of the government we should listen to? There's one government where on February 15, 2020, the Minister of Health, Dr. Christopher Tufton, said, the Daily Paper carried it, that he issued a stern warning to nurses to quit if they do not love their jobs and are more motivated by pay than by empathy and compassion for the patients they serve.
I remember that.
And there's a next government that says you have to increase the pay in order to attract persons to serve in the political space. Do understand that when you're working in the medical profession, whether as nurse or doctor, that there are protocols. You're supervised, you're assessed, and if you're not functioning properly, you lose your jobs. That doesn't obtain in the political space. So I asked this morning, which government should we be listening to? The floor is now open for your questions. Please identify yourself, the media house that you're from, and go ahead with your question.
Anthony Love, TVJ News. Mr. Robinson, if you could for me, just tell me were you or at what point were you aware that the salaries of cabinet ministers are linked to that of permanent secretary? And were there any objections raised at the time, and what were they?
The issue is not the principle of the link. The issue is that within the range, the cabinet ministers are placed at the highest end in the band. The band has 9 bands. Lowest end 17 million, the highest end 23. So the issue is not that we are objecting to the principle. And I said that in Parliament, where I said I had no issue with that. But we didn't know at the time that it would be placed at the highest end of the band. And there's a disparity of $6 million there, which is a significant one. And so you're dealing with an issue where there's no PS now that is placed at the highest end. Most would have been placed somewhere in the middle or at the lower end. So our call is for not that the principle must be abandoned, but that there be an adjustment to not being at the highest band.
Robian Williams from Nationwide News. Opposition leader, you said that you're leading by example, redirecting 80% of your increase to people who are in need. How will that disbursement, on what basis will that disbursement be made?
Good question. A politician just talk, you know.
And who would you classify as people who are in need?
Yeah.
How will that be done?
The precise modalities I need to figure out. I have some ideas on them. I have a little time to work that through. I believe that I'm in Parliament as a member of Parliament for South St. Andrew. That's who I represent. I'm the leader of the opposition because I sit in Parliament. So I would expect that constituents in need from South St. Andrew would be one of the priorities in how those funds would be dispersed. I'd like to depoliticize it and have put in place a group of persons who are independent, who can adjudicate as to the worthiness of the cause. But it will not be limited to the constituency because I have a national role. But I would think that the fair way to deal with it would be apportion it and in some appropriate way between needs within the constituency and needs nationally.
Indeed, thank you for that. And just to be clear, you're leading by example, and the members of your shadow cabinet will not be doing the same, or what is it that they're in conversation as relates to that?
Well, remember I am leader of the opposition is treated in the same way as the deputy prime minister and has a particular salary package attached. So they're in a kind of executive class along with the prime minister and the cabinet. Now, the shadow cabinet they are paid as all MPs are paid, and that's a matter that we have been discussing, and I don't think we're in a position to make an announcement on that today, but it's an ongoing discussion among our parliamentarians.
All right. How do you respond to the prime minister saying you get what you pay for?
Well, my response to that is that people come into politics to serve their country. It has never been principally driven by money unless they are coming in for dishonest motives. So money cannot be the basis upon which you attract people to serve
And you come for
through
script.
politics.
For real.
You know, if you're interested in making money, you stay in the private sector and make money.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I agree that the public service, the professionals who run the civil service and the bureaucracy of the country need to be well paid. And I fully support that principle as long as there's equity in
Angela.
how you treat them.
Eric.
And what has happened in this instance with this restructuring is that those at the top of the system have done extremely well. Those at the bottom have done well in percentage terms. And the large cohort of persons in the middle, the rank and file in the teaching profession, in the police force, correctional officers, etc., they have not done well. They, in fact, feel hard done by, disaffected, demoralized, and demotivated. And we're talking about attracting people to do the work that the nation needs, the nation building. There is where the focus should be, not on the political class.
You hear that?
Mhm.
Andrew owners have a different agenda. In come
Morning
with
again,
tech.
Reverend Barrett from the Gleaner. I have a question for the leader of the opposition. Yes, sir. Oh, I just want to be clear. You're not taking issue with the increase itself. You're saying the levels are way more than you would have liked. That's one question.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's been a while since parliamentarians have received an increase. Inflation affects them like it affects other persons. I'm not in any way suggesting there shouldn't have been some increase. I think that the levels are excessive because if you compare where ministers of government, for example, in Jamaica will now be paid relative to the other countries in the region, we're way higher now as a result of this increase. And we are a country that's struggling to achieve meaningful levels of growth. And we have one of the lowest GDP per capita in the whole region of our peer group. Haiti is lower than us, but most of the rest of the English-speaking Caribbean are above us. So for our political class to be paying ourselves higher and significantly higher than other countries that are paying their political class, and those countries are outperforming us, I think that's problematic. So I think the whole thing needs to be reconsidered. The methodology as to how parliamentarians and ministers of government, how their salaries are determined, I think needs to be rethought through. And I think this is an opportunity to do that. I'm not saying I have all the answers to that today, but there are models that can be followed. An independent structure can be put in place that does that, for example, and does it regularly, not at lengthy intervals, which involves big adjustments to make up for time and inflation over a long period.
Would you reverse the pay?
Yeah.
And just to clarify again, the discussions that are taking place within the PNP parliamentary group, insofar as the increases are concerned, can you give us the parameters of those discussions? What exactly are they discussing? Just the parameters. I know you will give us the details.
We have today indicated one aspect of it, and this is to do with the criticism of the way in which the government has fixed the ministerial salaries in particular, and all other things that flow off of the permanent secretary yardstick. What they did was, in band 16, which is the highest band in the new structure of public sector pay, there are 9 subcategories, which span a range of about $7 million. Most public sector workers were put into one of the lower subcategories in their particular band. That's my understanding. For ministers, or for this parliamentary political class increase, the yardstick that has been used is the highest subcategory 9 within the top band. And this is one of the reasons why the levels are so high. And as MP Julian Robinson indicated, that is an anomaly. Why is it that the political class have used the highest subcategory in the highest band rather than somewhere closer to the middle or earlier, lower subcategories, which is where the rest of the public service was placed? So that's one issue. The other issue concerns what parliamentarians are willing to do to express solidarity with the principle of equity. I have indicated that because my situation as leader of the opposition is somewhat different to everybody else's in our group, because I'm being paid at a significantly higher level, I wasn't comfortable with keeping that increase. We've called for it to be suspended until the issues of the public sector restructuring are resolved satisfactorily. But in the event that it's not suspended, I'm not comfortable retaining so much of it when the average in the public sector in terms of increase was much, much lower than the 240+% that I have been given. So that is why I'm going to redirect
240.
everything above 20%
At
to
20%.
worthy causes. And the mechanism, the precise modalities for that, I'm going to work out. But I think, given the nature of this exercise, it has to involve independent persons having a reviewing role to make sure that it's done as it should be, transparently.
And just one last question from me on another matter. I don't know if you saw the judgment out of the Privy Council yesterday,
Yes.
insofar as the local government elections in Trinidad and Tobago is concerned, and the ruling of the Privy Council. I wondered if, and I know this was just yesterday, but I wondered if the PNP has sought and obtained legal advice about our situation here, and if there is a sort of correlation, given that we have postponed our local elections for so long. Can you indicate if you have sought and obtained legal advice, and if so, what is that advice?
I can indicate that we have not yet sought legal advice. I've read a couple of reports on it, one out of the Trinidad media and one carried in the local media. And based on what I understand, the ruling in that instance was an interpretation of a power given to the minister in Trinidad by legislation. And the question was whether or not that power could be applied to existing councillors and aldermen there, as opposed to moving forward, not applying it to the incumbents. And the High Court and the Court of Appeal in Trinidad both said that it could apply to incumbents, the existing councillors and aldermen. The Privy Council said no, it could not. Our situation here is somewhat different. What happened was that the precise date for the holding of local government elections has been extended 3 times by legislation. And my own understanding is that the only way that that could possibly be challenged is through a constitutional action, which what Trinidad was doing was somewhat different. It was an interpretation of existing legislation. I haven't read the judgment fully, but that's my superficial analysis of it. So I don't think the situation is on all fours. However, the principle of people having the right to elect their elected representatives, and that the period that they are elected for is a fixed period, is a principle that would be applicable as much in Jamaica as in Trinidad. And that might support the success of a constitutional action. But the situations are not the same.
Just for clarity, because I realize a question has been asked more than once, which suggests that there isn't full understanding around the matter. The monthly paid scales, yes? Pay band 15, Executive Management Group, Permanent Secretary. with effect from the 1st of April 2022, 13,957,000, and with effect from April 1st, April 1, 2024, 17,430,451 dollars. That's the lowest part of that band. In the same band 15, if you go across to the end of it, the lower range so the lower range is 13 million. At the upper end for 2022, it's 18,770,000, and for 2024, it's 23,442,000. So that's within the same band 15. The upper end of the band is 23,442,000, and at the lower end of the band is 17,430,000. That's for 2024.
Plan starts at 13, bottom end, and it's at 18 at top end for 2022. And then by 2024, the bottom
is 18 and the top is, no, this is what the government has done. So when you hear them talk about what they've done for principals, what they've done for permanent secretaries, all of those in the same band 15, the different subcategories, they have not put any of them beyond subcategory 3, but they have put out of 9. So you're going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9. They've put the majority 1 to 3, and they've said to them it will take you 6 to 8 years to get to 9. But they've started the ministers at 9. So they've sold the argument to say we have only given them $52 above a permanent secretary. But it's not true, right? They've given them $52 above the upper end of the band while starting the permanent secretaries within the first 3 categories of the band, the lower end of the band. So the ministers are actually earning significantly more. And then that affects every other calculation because it is a percentage of what the figure is, right? For state ministers, parliamentary secretary, right? All of those would be affected because you're finding a percentage of a higher number, therefore the pay comes out high versus if they're using a lower number. So that's one. Point number 2 is that majority of the public sector receive 20%. So the basis on which the leader of the party is saying that he's not accepting 240%, he's only accepting 20%, is a stance with the majority of persons in this country, the regular teacher, the regular police.
That's what it's supposed to be, 20%.
He's accepting that same amount, same percentage increase, just 20, as opposed to 200.
The rest I want to do it to Julian. The one I
and remember that we were told of these increases. Teachers were out there even protesting for theirs, and they were told to go back to work. We don't have any money. So the truth is that you just cannot trust what the government says, right? So that is where we are. I just wanted to clear those things.
And you're not giving no money.
Mr. Golding, should you form the next government, are you prepared? Should you form the next government, are you prepared to roll back the salaries, including that of the governor generals?
That's the question more I hear from long time. That's the question. Come up to the mic, bro. Step up to the mic and answer that question there.
At this point in time, I've said that the entire approach to setting the salaries of the political class needs to be reconsidered. I think a mechanism between now and when we form government, a mechanism needs to be developed which has transparency and proportionality and accountability as the
Are you going to roll it back?
And equity as well. In terms of the Governor General's salary, I don't really want to comment on that because, you know, we're going to be a republic shortly anyway.
You see, a laugh, it matter this, you know. Why you can't answer about that?
Just identify yourself, the media house. No, the question is to you. That's what you said.
Yes, Mr. Robinson, Javi McLean, CVN. All right, so you are declaring Parliament that the party takes no issue with the increase. However, a release subsequently followed contradicting that position. What signal is the party sending? And the second question, you are also on record saying that while saying not willing to accept the increase, was this a unanimous decision within the party?
They be able to take 20% like
Are
Mark
you
Looney.
alone on this decision? And if not, are you to not accept the increase?
Give back on the constituency or spend it on Jamaica. 20% increase on must get. Like everybody else.
The matter of staying the increases is a matter that was discussed within the party, and we took a position. So it's suspending. We're not saying we are not taking the increase. We're saying until you resolve those issues, we're saying hold that increase. Right? So it's not a saying a position
Now
that
listen.
we don't believe we should get the increase or we won't take it when it comes. But deal with the outstanding issues first.
They believe it's too
and
much.
then implement the increase.
You don't
That's the
believe it's too
position we've
much.
taken.
You see that?
Huh?
PNP will take it. You don't believe it's
On
too
the
much.
issue, I responded, and I said this at the beginning in my presentation. We were dealing with the issue real time. In fact, when the minister spoke, we were not even privy to
Man,
the
go man.
written statement at the time.
Whatever like
So I
someone here.
acknowledged, I responded and said we have no issue. Principally with the principle in which the calculations were done, where there was ministers being $1 above permanent secretaries, right? Because that has been a principle, right? As I said again at the beginning, what we anticipated in terms of an increase ended up being significantly more, because where a minister is tied to the PS is at the highest end of the band versus somewhere else. So we thought we may have been in the range of somewhere 70 to 100% as an increase. It turned out to be significantly more than that. At that point in time, there was not an opportunity there to have further consultations internally, given the information that would have been received. And as such, subsequent to that, and based on additional information and reflection, then there was a, if you want to call a divergence in terms of where we were as a position.
You hear? Jan, PNP.
Hal Schaenberg, Radio Jamaica News, to the opposition leader. Now, many will say that you are able to defer 80% while others are not in a position to do so. How do you respond to that?
La la li, la li la.
As I said in my presentation, the leader of the opposition is in a different category to members of parliament. We are treated under this change, and indeed even before this change, somewhat differently. I am treated somewhat differently from a salary perspective. I felt that the level of increase awarded to me was unconscionable, given what is happening in the country, and in particular, in this instance, how the rank and file professionals in the public service were treated. As I've said, my colleagues in Parliament on our side are considering how they want to address the issue.
Them get too much.
So, and I think that is their right. I'm not going to seek to impose on them the adoption of the approach I'm taking, because my situation is substantially different to theirs. I was already earning substantially more than they were as leader of the opposition.
Stop sweeting up for them, Mark. We no fool. Them are going to pocket the money. The whole of them are the same.
Let me ask a question of you.
God, yeah.
Is it your understanding that your salary at the ECJ is going to increase, go up as a result of this round of increase? And if so, what is your view on politicians who are a part of that commission being paid that rate of money for the, I'm going to use the word, limited amount of meetings that are held or attended?
Well, the principle still remains. Now, my point is similar to the leader of the party. I never came into politics to enrich myself.
Whatever.
And to be frank, I did no study to become a politician.
We tired for you on the chat.
5 years of study to become a medical doctor.
Donald Trump said the same
I
thing.
find it a little bit strange that as a medical practitioner, I earn less than I earn as a practitioner in the political space. When in my medical practice, I'm supervised I have protocols that I have to adhere to.
Yeah.
If I were to run foul of anything there, then there will be consequences.
That's true.
Politically, that does not change. So there is a principle that is at play here as to the mechanisms that are in place so that you get quality from within the political space, and there's appraisal, there's management of the process. Now, a part of what the government has done is that they've rolled in everything that persons have gotten, and then they only make mention where the basic salary is coming from. So, quick example. They might say to you that this person was earning $2.5 million and they are now going to earn 6. But they didn't say to you that that person, whilst they were earning 2.5, there was another $500,000 or $700,000 in allowances and all other things that would have been a part of that salary. So the increase is actually not from 2.5 to 6, but it's from 3.2, right? So I am of the impression that once we're able to see what that is, because I don't know at this time, once we're able to see what that is at the ECG, I am prepared to as well to accept the 20% that everybody else is getting.
And that's the one I'm gonna forget. Everybody.
I don't intend to enrich myself from the political process. If at any time I feel as if I don't have sufficient funds, I do some more work in the hospitals, right? But I don't intend to use politics to be my gateway to fortunes.
Everybody must
In
give up.
terms of
Like too much money.
how these increases are also done, it lends a question with an impending shuffling of the cabinet as to whether or not this was really just trying to give some increases to some of the older boys before they go. I thank you so much for being here with us today, and I hope for you to have a wonderful afternoon in the
Answer
Lord.
my question,
Thank you,
man.
and be good.
We are going so quick. Answer my question. Come here, you hear a lot of questions, you know. So people, see there. So basically what me see.
The People's National Party is in the process of selecting.
People, what do you get from this? What me gather from this is that the PNP, a lot of it seems as if they're okay with the race. Mark Golden tell us, boy, he want to look at it when they come in at the party, when they win and come in. But do you think when they win and come in, they might look back after these men start get used to this type of paycheck? Them are happy if they get that withdrawal from them. It need to be no. Mark Golden should have called for a retraction. No. A reverse. No. Not when you come in. You know it now go work. He tell me say Mark Golden is not telling the rest of people them say, look here, you guys, we need to set example. We are PNP. We didn't come here to scrape. We need to please the people them and not to hurt them. So this is what more you guys to do. We as the PNP must lead by example. Let's take only 20% like the rest of people them. That's not what Mark Golden did. Mark Golden said he's not going to impose his will upon his people them. So he's going to make them consider that on their own. Did we all hear that a while ago? He said he'll make them do that on their own. So if Julian or anybody will get paid, they decide to say them and give up nothing, they're not going to do it. So me look at the PNP them now. If they're not going to follow Mark Golden, then they're really not going to follow him the people. Because Mark Golden declares asset and sign the code of conduct before all of them. And still, right now, Mark Golden have problems getting the rest of PNP. I think about 14 the last time I checked. 14? Or 8, something like that. I've signed a code of conduct. The rest of PNP, they sign a code of conduct. Bunting come out, blatantly say him not sign none. The only thing him have to do with the Integrity Commission is legal stuff. So it tell me now that these guys not going to want to give out the money. No. I'm going to Mark Golden one. It's nice if the rest of them say, we don't want this, we think it's too much. Nobody get no 200 raise. Mark Golden say get what, 240% raise? The opposition received 240% raise. Probably look at teacher them, what them give what? What them say they give 20% raise to teachers? And the rest of people them, something like that. We don't even know the percentage because I'll be a liar telling them. I'll be a liar mix up and go on in the Labour Right Party. Then take this from the people and push on that, and the couples will come tell me that. Paint a beautiful picture of the Labour Right them. So it's confusing if you don't hear from the teacher, they say, no, if this man may watch and teach at Jamaica talk, and she talk say, she not get what the finance minister come out and say, them a get that, no go so. So for the fact we don't hear the PNP say, no, this is too much, we don't want this. And the PNP have had enough time for all of them to have a meeting to decide on what they are doing. For the fact that Mark Golding to come out and say that some of them now give back the money. And they tell me say Mark Golding probably just think about it right there in that room. Because if Mark Golding was thinking about that before he got in that room, Mark Golding is not a fool man. Mark Golding have better answers to where how I'm going to disperse the 80% of the raise that him receive. He would say, oh, well, I'm going to look into that. Well, I don't know yet and stuff like that. No, you receive enough time, Mark Golding. If you sit down, lay down in your bed, drink a tea in your yard, look up at the banana tree and think about how you're going to disperse this money. So you tell me right there, Mark Golding, you only thought about that on the fly, right there in that room. However, it's a good gesture as a leader. You make Andrew Holness look like a piece of crap right there, son. Because Andrew Holness want more money. It's a money to attract people in politics. Andrew Holness say a money to attract people to politics, not service and voluntary service for your country as a patriot. It's scrapings. And the same man scrape out the money to SSL and left the whole of women. I mean, how many times you go see what go on? And the same man was at the Ministry of Education and sent all the contract them to a company where him and him brethren own. So he basically send all the contract for himself, pocket himself. The man selfish. See SSL there, the man scrape out all the money. Him no business about the rest of over 9,000 account holder, including Usain Bolt. How much him did for our country. Man never care about nobody. He never care about the money in there from the Ministry of Health. He didn't care about the money from the NIS money, the National Housing Trust money, agriculture money, and banana catastrophe fund money. And you want didn't care about that. He take all of it for himself. So how many times you gonna say this man greedy? How many times? Tell me the truth, family. Tell me the truth. So, you know, me don't like to hear some of them else have to say. Because this is crazy. Now, I was following Andre Stevens. We see him go out at the protest. I may look on other live also at the protest in Jamaica that them have this morning. And in reality, people, I don't see a lot of people out there protesting. Do you understand me? The amount of people this thing affect. Jamaica people don't come out for nothing to help themselves. I don't know if they're timid, is it fear, but all I know if there's a political, anything that go on out there, you're gonna see them come out there and them green and them orange, them full off the street, you see cars and motorcade, you see bikes, everybody. Nobody would be working that day. But today, don't tell me so much people at Jamaica work. Stop playing a game with me. So much people at Jamaica now work. The people them did come out there and even stand in solidarity. Nobody asks if nobody come out there come mash up nothing and anything. Just come out there, come stand up. Give a placard, make your voice be heard. But you know what? We never expect none of this, you know. This is embarrassing. And this is what the politicians like to see. People come out there and protest for needs also. That's a handful of you. The government love that. They come to protest to this. That's a handful of them. The government love it. I remember when Matthew, the guy, got protest about the bad hotel treatment. Look how much hotel workers we have in Jamaica, and hotel workers have family and friends and loved ones. Nobody came out there and stand up with Matthew. It was him alone. So don't bother believe Carlos don't know these things and what to expect and what is going to happen. These Jamaican people tell Carlos, whenever this and whenever that, then people in Jamaica do nothing. They will lay down there and make politicians walk all over them. So let me see a look at the protest we're going to Jamaica. May you hear this lady I say? A piece of the protest. There's a little bit of the protest I want to play for you guys in Jamaica. Let's play the audio. Because there's some people protesting, but not like I thought it would be.
$898,000 from that. So we don't benefit. We were standing at a loss at the end of the day. And this cannot be. Say you gave us $1.2 million in retro money. You took $898,000 from that. So we didn't benefit. We were standing at a loss.
Teacher, you know,
And
what me tell you? A Kahneman coming when they say they give the teacher this and that. They take out money out of it and Conway.
say we
Look,
gave us $1.2 million in retro money. You took $898,000 from that. So we didn't benefit. We were standing at a loss at the end of the day. And this cannot be a good thing for us as teachers.
What should be done? Should it be rolled back or should they get a salary increase incrementally or a lower?
Roll back.
What should be done now by the government?
I think it should be rolled back. I
Roll
don't
back.
see a need, based on what we were looking at the other Caribbean countries, they were in the right wage agreement in terms of salary remuneration for the job that they were doing. So to increase this now, and we are the second worst performing country per capita in the Caribbean, why do we need to increase it? We don't have money to pay for the election, but then we have money to pay politicians. We don't have money to offset the whole heap of backlog of surgeries that patients have 3-4 years, but then we have money to increase politician money. So I'm going, $13,000 cannot suffice a family at this time. I don't even know where to think that is at right now, but I'm short of $100. And you're telling me that you couldn't give minimum wage an increase for at least $20,000, but you're taking a 300% increase? How do you justify? There's no justification for that. This is complete plain wickedness.
Wickedness.
It's worse than the stem of calling somebody to tell them that, hey, you have won something. You are blatantly looking in our eyes and say that we could not give you a 30% increase, but yet you took 300. Cannot be good.
Thank you so much for speaking with me.
the people are saying this is blatant wickedness. The politicians are worse than scam. They're not different from the scammer them who call people and tell them say them win stuff. Because them tell the teacher them one thing and they go around the back and do some other thing. Them wicked people. Them wicked. Them wicked for the people them. This cruelty. Some people don't see nothing wrong with this. Come go up a newspaper, I'm go down the news under the thing. I hear some Jamaican people, I run them people and I rush them and say, boy, them people are not nothing to do. Them no work. Why they not gonna find work for do? Why them out here? Jamaicans, you know. Jamaicans out there who go along with this, you know, people. Jamaican people, you know. I cuss out these people. I say, why they not gonna find work for do? I feel them picnic up on road and shoot up people and all type of nonsense. Jamaican people in the comment section and say that, you know. Before them get up and come out there and put politics aside, them sit on a yard and think about politics, you know. We will never be better like this. This is what Andrew Holness love. And guess what gonna come next? Just like we are the only country we never protest in the big sea. All the other Caribbean islands, they protest the lockdown. We didn't do that with docile. Cruise ship come there, we lockdown in our yard, we couldn't come out no movement day. We see cruise ship come there. Nobody even come out, come say nothing, say what is a one. Nobody say a word. Why cruise ship here and no movement there when we lock down? None of you say anything. Rick's Cafe, same way. Our bloggers come out and come take up the hammer all the time. It's always bloggers that call attention to stuff. Jamaican people don't do nothing. I was talking to a brethren of mine yesterday, family member. He said, Jamaican people now do not know nothing, man. He said, no, people don't care. He said, diaspora hold it down. The man said, Uno in the diaspora do it, you know. He said, if I never Uno, Jamaica gone off of the cliff. He said, Jamaican people don't worry about nothing. A rum and boom, them want. Make a politician put on something today and see what go on. Don't care what day of the week it is. Man, no member work. But anyway, you hear the PNP say, we're not going to add nothing to it or take away. Go back and listen. You can always scroll back and listen to it and see what they must say. We see Andre Stevens was out there earlier, and he was saying there was not a lot of people out there. When he was out there wasn't a lot of people. Let me hear from this other protester what she have to say, and this is taken from the book of the Observer.
We are the boss, you know. I mean, this uncouthness, this is very obscene. It is not that we're saying we're against. Nothing that if somebody is due increase. I am not against an increase, because if I'm working in an organization for over a period of time, I'm expected, based on my work ethics, based on my working over a period of time, I'm expected to get an increase, but the magnitude of the increase is what pressures and bothers us. You have to understand, they are the servant for us, the people, and we must understand that 300%, that is uncalled for, that is obscene, that is the height of wickedness. When you look, I was coming in from my house, and when I look at the little helper, them I go up the road and the sweat will drop off of them face. And you're talking about, when you look at the teachers, when you look at the civil servants, the nurses and the doctors, is it 20%?
Yeah. 13 and 20%.
And 13 and 20%, and the teachers and 20%, come on. If the whole of Jamaica, the whole 14 parishes should come together and shut down the entire country and send a message to this uncaring government.
Can I give you what you give me?
Yeah, Jackie.
Jamaican people fear the Andrew Onis. They're scared. No people fear Andrew Onis. No for uno fear Andrew Onis. Jaja people fear Andrew Onis. This a man. So the truth is, you get the politician leader that you pay for. That Andrew Onis say. You get the quality of government that you elect. The man say, the truth is you get the political leadership that you pay. The money motivate Andrew Onis, you know. You hear those words? And he said the money will attract people in it. People. It's money motivate Andrew Onis. This is what the man say, you know. The truth is, you get the political leadership that you pay for. Just let that sink in. You get the political leadership you pay for. You get the quality of governance that you elect. You know what is going to happen as a result. In this increase in pay, all of a sudden, the best talents that would have overlooked politics, that would have migrated, blah, blah, blah. So he must say money is what should motivate people to go into politics. When you ever see nobody have problem to get nobody to go into politics? When? From your boy till now. When you ever see politician have problem to see nobody who want to run anyway? Is that them have a job free, like them can't get nobody, you know, nobody want to be run for office. That them have a problem. Because the money is too small, so nobody want to be politician. Because the money too small. So now this supposed to motivate people. People tell me what they think in the comment section. Julian, you're live. Me on the live. I am live. You're live on air.
Okay.
They'll talk about well, I'm going to talk about the pay raise and the PNP come out a while ago and stuff like that.
Oh, I just caught a little bit of Andre talking to Mark Golding. So I didn't get the fullness of it, but it is outrageous. I think that.
Oh, hold on. Andre Stevens was talking to Mark Golding?
Yes, I sent that link to your WhatsApp. That's why I was calling you. It was a brief one-on-one encounter, and I guess they were making plans so that he could talk to him at another time. So they're making headways to get Mark Golding out of his shelves, quote unquote.
Because Mark Golding is in a lot of dog doodle right now. So he need anything. Hey, Jesus. Well, I mean, why not? Eh?
Yes. As Sherman was saying last night that Andrew Onis was saying that if when the government is paid better, I guess he's speaking for himself, then they'll do better because he's trying to go to repentance ground. He said he has sinned against Jamaican people, but that doesn't hold water because right after he do that fake thing, he turn around and give himself a 200% salary increase, right? And as Shannon was saying last night, we get what we pay for. So now that we have put more value on the office, he needs to go because he's not worth that amount of money in terms of his ethics and everything that is going on in the country.
And just too expensive, man. You need to go. Too expensive now. You need to go.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. We can't afford you.
Yeah, but it's I think Carlos said it before. The union, the teachers union and those unions, they also were part of the sellout of the workers. And the people who are paying the union dues should put some pressure on the union to say, why did they accept this deal in rush? And now they turn around and enrich themselves and the Governor General who's just sitting there as a parasite, doing nothing, absolutely nothing, and is getting a 300% salary increase.
Wow. It's crazy, Juliana. I can't understand.
And this is why he's standing off on everything to the Civil Service Commission that Andrew's appointing people, his friends and cronies, and he's standing off on it. They're getting paid to play. This is the highest level of corruption Jamaica is going now. If we don't do something, yes, Carlos, we have to pray. But while some is praying, some have to be out there protesting and raising their voices because if we just sit there in silence, he is bucking the system and see how much you're going to take. And I think those military equipment that he brought down a couple months ago, he is preparing for some type of resistance, a serious resistance in Jamaica, because he's done a lot of things to see how much he could get away with it.
Because
you caught him off camera speaking to Nigel when he said, "You think we'll pull it off?" And people are making these comments go on their ears. He's doing a lot of stuff to see if they pull it off and if people don't protest. Good example, the other day the taxi drivers came out, right? What do you have to do? Pull back. So if we sit there in silence and say, what we gonna do? No better, no better. It's gonna continue.
Andrew, look at Andrew, read the people then, right? Because I believe no other prime minister know the Jamaica people like Andrew Onis. That's why I'm gonna play them so well. Slap them around and the people them still hold up on them shirt sleeve. Because he know them so well. People protest. Me see when them protest against the needs, a handful of people come out. Andrew love that. This is a protester today, not a bunch of people. Andrew love that. Me see when the little Matthew come protest against the hotel. I'm alone. Andrew love that. Anything will happen. We don't even come out. Do you think you love that?
Have to utilize Dr. King and Mahatma Gandhi's strategy, non-violent protest. You don't have to go there and burn anything or kill people. Just go out there in your numbers.
Numbers, people.
We are part of the government. The people have to understand that if we elect you to work for us, we are the bosses.
You can't stop from protest.
I don't understand how they
can't stop from protest. We're afraid of Andrew Onis. They might lock up thousands of people.
It doesn't matter. Dr. King was jailed for non-violent protest. Many freedom fighters, you look at history.
People in court, man.
It's a misdemeanor charge. You go civil disobedience, they call it. Go and protest and go and make your voices heard. Right? Even in this country, kids as old as 4 years old were locked up during the civil rights struggle.
Acho.
In the times of Jim Crow, children. So what are we afraid of?
Afraid, man.
If the slave didn't resist and put it out there,
look at Juliana.
A different kind of slavery now being instituted by our own color, and people sit there and talking. Pray and ask God to give us the strength and the courage to go out there.
Take out to
10 people tired, 10 more get up, and we do it. We take turns. We take turns, right? I don't understand why they sit there in silence and taking this nonsense. This is how dictatarships are formed.
Of course. Dictatorship. He got the people them. Andrew Holness got the people them. No other country, the people them could have get locked up like that. And in that COVID.
That's so key,
In that COVID.
And then the jails will be overrun. And then when they knock up 50 people, 50 more come out. And then that's how we do. That's how it's done. The freedom is not going to come easy. It's going to come at a cost. But if we're not even willing to go out there and stick out our neck out there for our own self, what do you think is going to happen? If I go out there for the masses and they shoot me down, then I'm dead and I'm gone. What about the other 2.7 million people that is left there looking at me? Come on now.
The people say, look here, they only come out, only politician make them move, Juliana. Only me say if any function to the politicians they come out. Me say that see some colors out there today. You that see some colors.
PNP, taxi drivers, operators came out in protest. They can do it.
Of course.
We've done it before. The other day when they come up with these egregious new laws about car seats, some people push back, and what happened? We have demonstrated that recently, so what is the big deal now? Why they don't say something?
Well,
they should demand that the government report that those increases.
Roll back.
That people, come on, roll it back. So I don't understand what they're talking about oh no, it goes send man to lock you up. Okay, yeah. And then when you put pressure on them and they see that it is, they don't have any way to house people when they're locking them up for civil disobedience and protesting for their rights. And then it's going to cause media attention. We don't have to burn nothing and kill nobody.
No. We don't have to lose no money because we barely have nothing. I going to mash down stuff, I going to fix it back already. Again, me not in that.
That's all.
No, we not in that. Peaceful protest. People don't come out, even just to stand up. Voice. Roll it back. We can't afford this.
Look at the Donnelly situation. Don't a lot of people, even with the young lady that was sexually abused, and they got a couple. And we have to keep the momentum. This is not the time where it's fearful. And talk, because everything they're going to be they're not going to say, oh, they're going to do that. If everybody is to sit there and say that, then what's going to happen? You cannot come out and give yourself an hour to stand up for your own self, but you would like someone to take a bullet for your own self. That's a figure of speech.
We want them to roll it back. And if politicians get raised, they should get the same raise that everybody else get. Simple. Cost of living and everything is on everybody else. But their pay were right, the pay before the raise was okay with the rest of the Caribbean leaders, them, you know. So they was living fat, you know. Them don't need a raise, you know. They're getting millions and millions of dollars a year plus them own side business. So Juliana, what you think about holding our purse for 1 month? We in a diaspora.
Well, I agree with that.
Holding our purse for 1 month. Any investment, anything we not do, 1 month holding the purse because we in the diaspora have power. A third of the GDP, they need the US dollar to Western Union and MoneyGram. They need the England pound. They need the Canadian dollar. They need dollars. They need that euro. If at the Caribbean, they need that CI dollar. They need everything. They need it. We can take action by that.
Yes, I agree with that. That would be a very, very effective way of protest. Even
hold the purse. 1 month.
Yes.
1 month.
Yeah.
Show them something. 1 month. We also roll back until them get the same raise like the rest of people. Them 20%. That's how I'm gonna give them. I'm gonna give them 5, 5, 10. 5, 5, 10. 5% the first year, 5% the second year, 10% the other year. Not 200 and 300 raise. 100%. 5, 5, 10%. That's what the raise them should have get. Politician must get 20. That's why Mark Gold is saying I'm going to keep 20% and give the rest to people. I mean, want to hear for the rest of PNP them. Do the right thing and don't be greedy and make the party look bad coming and start beat to know.
Carlos, I think what needs to happen is, in my opinion, the teachers, the nurses, the doctors, and all these people
Shut it down.
go down to the union leaders' headquarters and make ruckus. And let they come out and organize because they're taking the union dues from people and go and protest. That's where the problem is.
Then if you call emergency
The
meeting,
union set out the workers. That's what happened.
on my page, me don't know. You never, the blogger talk about the unions like me. How many times I tell a guy say I was a shop steward at my job? So that's why we do these videos, numerous videos. Me start pay attention upon it from a JLP rally, me see happen. And the Busterman, the trade union president, is a senator. The BITU president, union head,
Conflict of interest.
is a senator.
Right here.
Mr. BITU president is a senator in a green shirt, in a conference. Yeah. Mr. Look there. See my serve there.
They need to demand answers from their leadership and organize and come out strong and take this back to court and file this is arbitrary and capricious and unfair violation of workers' rights, and these people, the union, sit there and accept it.
Yeah, man.
People of part of get up and say, we are going to protest. We need answers from the people who set up those negotiation tables,
Yeah, man.
who sell out the people.
Yeah, man, we get
That's
set up.
where the problem is.
That's why you see them pay the principal them more, the top police them more, everybody up at top in this position, so them could corral and control and shut down any uprising that might come from down a bottom for anything. Once principal and all them people get paid, you know, teacher better show up to work and talk about no. That's why them say them come take money out of teachers' salary when teachers come out, they come protest the other day. You remember that?
Listen, and they should go ahead. What they have to do is sustain the pressure. They are going under threat of retaliation. That's a violation. If you're standing up for your rights because you see something egregious and they try to retaliate, that's a problem. Trust me. Andrew have enough dirt on him shit already. He don't want to hear this thing. Take international news. After what they did to Usain Bolt, our icon, now they are pressing the teachers, the people who are the backbone of the society, where it's raising the children, teaching them to be somebody in society. The nurses and doctors out there taking care of the sick, right? And the firefighters and the police who is trying to keep us safe, and the soldiers and all these people. Tell me how it's going to take on 2 million people, him and his cronies. Tell me. Because the people sit there in silence and think, oh, the same thing that they're trying to protect, they're going to lose big time.
Well, let me tell you so. Juliana, I think Andrew Holness is provoking Jamaican people to wrath. I said it in numerous videos. This man is pushing his people and ask if it hurts. Sticking in there and ask if it hurt. It's so many ways Andrew Holness has provoked these people to wrath, and the people them do not come out. Them don't even protest. So many ways. Like he really want the people to come out.
Because it's doing a lot of things to pull it off, so to speak. With the manager talk, right? And if he could pull it off, it's going to continue to pull off what he's pulling off. Because the people refuse to push back. They refuse to push back. So he's going to keep pushing the envelope, and see how far he could get with it. Now, he's planning for uprising. Those new tankers that he got a couple months ago in Jamaica, we are not at war. What are you going to do? Use it against Haiti? What are we doing with when soldiers are sitting on cardboard boxes and he's getting in tankers? For what? Because he knows what he's doing to Jamaican people, like he said, poking them in the eye, and they're going to revolt. So he's ready to unleash. He set up his cards already, and the people sit there. Once you go out there and protest, non-violent protest, there's nothing to do. Whether the police come, lock them up. They cannot lock up 2 million people, and they have no jails to hold 2 million people.
That's right.
The cops, the police will eventually stop and say, I'm not going to do this because these people have their rights. If you follow history, the course of history, that's what usually happens. Even the police that they send out there become sympathizers and sympathetic to the protesters because they're humans too. And that's your own brother and sister and their cousin and uncle that they're looking at, standing up for their rights. See Joseph Patterson there, a man alone in the wilderness, he got locked up and he's fighting. That's an example. Whether you like his style, yes or no, that was wrong.
Yeah, you have to give him credit for that. And put him neck
You
out there.
understand me? Because he's out there protesting and they have the man in court dragging this out. But it's willing. Bustamante was locked up too. Trade unionist. Right? So I don't understand what these people talking about. Oh, they're going to come. No. Let them come. Still go out there and protest. Let them lock up 50 million people one time.
Jaja.
Oh, you think America was formed? You think it just formed just like that overnight?
No.
It was formed in a rebellion, no taxation without representation, with the Boston Tea Party. If people just sit there and take it, that's why you have nature farm too, because of dictators.
Look here, we got all the cash people. We are copying something with all the cash. Me a copy that date. Me a copy that date. And say we can talk to some of the vlogger. And say we can roll up, say we can talk to some of them so we can get other platforms. So we have a date when you start this real soon. And we have a start date and a cut off date and so what.
I think some of the Jamaican people living in Jamaica are becoming complicit because they know for sure that the family will send the remittance, so they don't really care. They become